With Gina.
The news with Gina Grad.
Well, it seems like everyone had a nice Father's Day, and that includes Bill Cosby. He sent out a Father's Day message, and he continues to refer to himself as America's dad. He said Cosby was serving a prison sentence in Pennsylvania for the 2018 conviction of drugging and sexually assaulting Andrea Constand. Tweeted, hey, it's America's dad. I know it's late, but to all the dads, it's an honor to be called a father. So let's make today a renewed oath to fulfilling our purpose, strengthening our families and communities. Hashtag Happy Father's Day. Hashtag renewed oath to our family. Of course, the tweets started rolling in. They said everything, but my favorite, I didn't get it.
How do you tweet from prison?
Is that him doing
He's
it?
calling, maybe his manager or something and saying, put this out there. My favorite one that they didn't have a screenshot of, but it said, not so much dad as the creepy uncle we all stopped inviting to Thanksgiving. But yes, he still has a Twitter account, and I'm sure he still passes along all of his messages personally.
It is so weird, that story, if you ever think about the old Bill Cosby and what Bill Cosby was and how Bill Cosby, I was just looking at Uppity. We did a screening last week, and you forget, well, I don't know if you forget, but it's just Bill Cosby at the height of his powers. Yeah. He could do no wrong, and nobody was loved more than Bill Cosby. And
the number one show on TV, and he endorsed Pepsi or whatever it was.
He had like Jell-O, Kodak,
Coke,
Pepsi, Coke, pudding, everything. And it was number one seller books. And ironically was America's father. Like, I mean, it's one thing when, you're a famous guy or a famous politician, and then you get caught up in Chappaquiddick or some situation or some dalliance or something. But you're not America's father.
You're not beloved.
He's just some well-known guy.
Universally.
Yes. I mean, this isn't...
Oh, he was the most admired man in America.
No.
This is not that different than Oprah 20 years from now getting caught up in sort of some white slavery thing or something, like something insane. This is as if Oprah was caught up in something, not tax evasion, but something like nefarious and evil. That's how... I would say that
Fingers
Bill,
crossed.
at the height of his powers, was basically... even a little better than Oprah, because Oprah will split the country. Like, there's a lot of dudes that are like, oh, please, come on, I'm not going along with that. But Bill, ubiquitous.
Loved.
Yeah.
Beloved.
Loved.
Well, speaking of Twitter, somebody else who used to be beloved has joined, and he wanted to make sure everybody knew. O.J. Simpson joined Twitter, and of all days, he chose to join on the 25th anniversary of the double murder, which he was acquitted of, though much of society still believes he's guilty. He even threatened in one of his first tweets that he had, quote, a little getting even to do, and that his new Twitter account will allow him to, quote, set the record straight. So that was his big teaser. Then on Father's Day, he denied some ongoing rumors about one of the Kardashians. He has a lot to get off his chest, I guess. We'll see where that goes. Here's a clip from that video tweet.
Bob Kardashian, he's like a brother to me. He's a great guy. He met and married Chris, and they really had a terrific time together when they were together. Unfortunately, that ended. But never, and I want to stress, never in any way, shape, or form had I ever had any interest in Chris, romantically, sexually, and I never got any indication that she had any interest in me. So all of these stories are just bogus, bad, tasteless. Chloe, like all the girls, I'm very proud of, just like I know Bob would be if he was here. But the simple facts of the matter is she's not mine.
I believe OJ.
It's never told a lie. By the way, second only to Bill Cosby is OJ in the universally admired department.
Nordberg.
I mean, boy, was that guy universally.
I think at one point
loved.
he was like polling, the most admired person in America.
Sure,
and certainly athlete.
The reason you're gonna be hard pressed to beat these guys is, no matter who you are, these were black men in the 70s and in the 80s. So the notion that you could be the most beloved father figure, athlete, father, recognizable face, and a black face was even further, made it even a greater accomplishment. And those guys were far beyond, Johnny Carson or any, because guys were like, oh, everyone knows Johnny Carson and he's funny. I guess he seems like he's a douche off camera or whatever, but there was none of that.
No.
They loved. So all he's got is sort of dangling these tidbits out about being the baby daddy or affairs with, like, that's his thing. Like I talked to, I think I saw Franco Harris. Franco Harris was interviewed about the catch, the Immaculate Reception. And Franco, by all accounts, a good guy. Franco Harris, that big catch against the Raiders and Frenchie Fuqua, and he got lit up by Tatum or whoever it was, and the ball went in the air. And they don't really have footage of whether the ball touched the ground or whether he picked it up off the turf or it never touched the ground. And it's one of the most famous, iconic plays in history. And then there's like statues of it in Pittsburgh and stuff like that. And it's what got Pittsburgh, turned them into the dynasty they were in the 70s. But if you talk to Franco Harris about that catch, he will always say, well, you never know if it touched the ground or not.
He's a little cagey about it.
He's smart because he realizes as long as there's a debate, it'll live on for in history.
Cat.
If he says it touched the ground or 100% never touched the ground, I wouldn't lie to you, then we stop kind of debating about it. So he's smart that he always leaves it out there like, well, hard to tell.
It happened so fast.
Right.
Yeah.
And
OJ wrote a book called If I Did It.
Right. So he's now going to have to trade on dangling morsels of sort of confessions or whether I said he's going to have to keep going back to that. Well, now he can't say he did it. He has to just keep going back to dangling that in front of us.
Yep. And I feel the same with him, almost like I feel like when nude pictures get leaked, like, I don't know, maybe don't follow him.
Yeah.
What
is there to see at this point?
Exactly. Speaking of that, that's a segue. Bella Thorne, ex-Disney actress, she shared some topless pictures of herself, and I did not request them, but you're welcome to find them if you want.
Caleb happened to have on his phone.
Over the weekend to stop a hacker from doing it. So basically, she said her phone was hacked by some guy who she thinks she's a teenager.
Who is Bella Thorne?
She's an actor, Disney actress, and things like that. He then started threatening her, leaking the pictures, leaking these videos. She said, I feel gross. I feel watched. I feel like someone has taken something from me. That's not even remotely one of the most risque ones that she leaked and that we're looking at right now. I wanted one special person to see this. I didn't want everyone to see it. So I'm taking my power back, and she leaked them all. She has the nipple piercings. She's in the underwear on a lot of these pictures.
She's underweight.
Yeah, probably. But she said she lost sleep because this guy kept texting her phone, threatening he was going to release these pictures. And she said, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to release them and get on with my life. So a number of female stars have had this happen to them. Jennifer Lawrence, Aubrey Plaza, Kate Upton, and that guy, George Garofano, who hacked Jennifer Lawrence. He's in prison. He got 8 months last August, so he actually might be out now. She's currently promoting a book, Bella Thorne, The Life of a Wannabe Mogul. So this is probably why they chose her. Maybe she's a little more popular today than she was the day before. But she said, screw it, I'll just release him, and then I can move on.
I think we all learned from Letterman or whomever, when you're being blackmailed, you just get out ahead of it. And then it's diabolical because we end up just talking about the incident, or we end up talking about the blackmail incident, but not the incident that they're blackmailing you for.
Right.
Now, nude pictures are a little bit different than having sex with interns, but if there's ever a playbook for publicists, the notion that you get out in front of it and it's not preemptively apologize, it's just say what's happening. People sort of move on. I've always found that,
like getting caught versus admitting it,
Yeah.
or coming clean.
it's my Lance Bass theory. Everyone was going nuts, wondering if he was gay for 15 years, and then he came out as gay, and no one's ever said a word about
Move
it.
along.
It's I think this. Like, think about all those things. I think it's a male wiring. You tell me. You tell me, Gina Grant.
Okay.
The way males are wired is somebody says something, and then you think, oh, no, that's not how it went. It's different. And then they go, oh, yeah, that's how it went. And now you're plagued. Like, you have to go run it down. You have to go track it down. You never go, turn the page, moving on. I cannot tell you how much of my life is devoted to someone going, no, this is what happened. And I go, really? And then I have to go figure it out. I have to go find out.
To further your theory, Gina, tell me if this happens in your relationship, as it does in mine quite frequently. When it's like, oh, it went down like, oh, this was what the text message said. No, it didn't say that. It said this. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure it said this.
You can go to the tape.
Then I'm like, well, hold on, I got my phone out right now. Oh, now you're going to prove me wrong. No, I'm going to prove what's right, and what's wrong. There's no you or me. There's just what's right.
Smacks of a tinge of familiarity.
That happens. That's going to happen all the time with men and women, and even more now men as we turn into women, because women remember feelings. They know how everything made them feel. Mm-hmm. So if you wrote a text and that text said, maybe you would like to pick out another dress for the French laundry, that would go down as you called me fat.
Brian would be served with papers.
Dinner for one.
Right. So they go, you called me fat. Yeah. And then you go, I didn't call you fat. And they go, I have a text that says you're calling me fat. In their brain, they have a text because that's how they read it. That's how it felt. That's how it went. So
Christy did change her dress right before we left.
Really?
Yeah, she did. She wasn't feeling it.
You always got to bring it back up.
So there's going to be the way you feel. And we all have that, the way you feel. And there's also that part of like, it's just, we never know. I was just trying to recount and figure out how me and Max Pata ended up in two cabs going to the same place.
And how did it make you feel?
And I can't remember what Mike said. I can't remember what Max Pata said. I can't remember if he said we or me.
Clearly.
Well, it doesn't matter what you remember. You should have caught up to us, goofball, or called me earlier. But either way, it's hard to tell. But guys are very obsessed with this is how it happened or this is what happened. And I don't know. Does anyone care anymore about nip slips or boob shots or whatever?
I don't think
it's
so.
Just like, it's ubiquitous.
And with something like this, I would imagine that most people who see her aren't going, oh my God, I'm going to clutch my pearls for shame. It's, you know what? Good for her. You know, I feel bad for her, and I'm glad she empowered herself. And she comes out in a way looking like a hero because she said, I'm not going to let some random kid blackmail me. I'm embarrassed. I'm humiliated. I didn't want this to happen. But you know what? I'm not going to live like this. So here's the pictures. She kind of makes her a hero.
The white-collar version of the kid that the 14-year-old that just runs up behind the rabbi and punches him in the head when he's walking down the street, minding his own goddamn business. And then I want to talk to the parents going, what the fuck did you raise here? This is the white-collar version of that? Like the 15-year-old that's blackmailing people from their phone? Like, where did you get this? Where did this come from?
You thought it was a good idea. Why?
I know it's doable from a technological standpoint, but what kind of environment made you think that this would be a smart plan for you in your life?
Absolutely.
All right.
We had a death recently, and I'm sure many of the moms, a lot of ladies were very sad about this one. Original socialite Gloria Vanderbilt. She has died at 95 years old. Very famous son. You know who it is.
Yeah, Anderson Cooper.
That's right. Her son, Anderson Cooper, confirmed the news Monday morning. He said in a statement she was 95 years old, but ask anyone close to her, they'll tell you she was the youngest person they knew, the coolest, the most modern. She became well known in the 70s for marketing lines of cosmetics, fashions, and of course her Gloria Vanderbilt blue jeans.
Yeah.
She was married 4 times, divorced 3 times, widowed once. She leaves behind 4 sons, including Anderson Cooper.
Yeah, I always think about those parents who she basically watched her son commit suicide, jumping out of the window of their Manhattan high-rise. I think the story. I think the story is Max Paddock can look it up. Anderson Cooper's brother killed himself. He killed himself probably in his mid-20s. I think the story goes that she sort of like walked in and he was like leaning against the balcony railing or something, and he was like, "Mom, don't come closer." God. And she was like, "What are you doing? Don't do it," you know. And he was like, and he just went over.
Jesus.
Like, I think he did it in front of her. And then you think about that stuff. He was 23, jumped off the 14th floor. See, everyone always worried, what's everyone with the fucking money all the time? Like, these people, I don't know. Do you know does money make you happy?
No, like we've said before, sometimes it's quite the opposite. Like he's rich and he still has all these problems. It's not like, oh, if I had money, I'd be free of all my problems. Like, no, you have all the money and you still have tons of problems.
He went. I think he did it in front of her, or while she was at least at home in the apartment, and he went at 23. And so if he went at 23, I mean, she must have been 50 at the time, or maybe she was 48, or I don't know how old she was. She could have been 43. She could have been younger. She had to then live her entire life knowing that her youngest son or her oldest son, I can't recall, I think he was older at the time than Anderson, just jumped off a building in front of her. And then when your kid commits suicide, you know, there's a lot of part of life where you're like, anyone who watched the movie Cliffhanger knows it wasn't Stallone's fault that chick fell to her death up there in Yosemite, because he was crying, right. But it's the carabiner gave way, whatever it was. But he tried. He gave it his all. But when your kid kills themselves, you got to internalize that to some degree. I mean, it's certainly a nature or nurture. I mean, one either road is getting to you, but your son is 23, he's rich, living the life they want. They kill themselves. There's a part of you that has to go, maybe I could have been a better parent, or maybe I could have been there more often. Or
the thought certainly crossed your mind several times.
Yes, he died in front of his mom.
Ugh.
Do we know history of any
he'd been undergoing treatment for depression, left no note, and then the sergeant said that his mother was with him on the terrace when he jumped.
Oh, my God.
So there's that, and no matter how rich and successful you are, I'm guessing, almost daily basis, have to think about your oldest son jumping off a building while you stood there.
That'll haunt you, in front of you.
I would say if there's anything that would haunt you, the fact that you stood there and he went over that railing in front of you, like where you were asking him to stop or begging him to stop. Yes. He must have been Anderson's older brother?
Yeah, older.
Couple years, not a whole lot.
Yeah, and it was in 88.
Wow. Damn.
What's Anderson? 3-4 years younger, 4 or 5 years younger? We'll figure it out. Yeah. But anyway, well, there you go.
Well, all right. Well, we do have an update.
They'll be missed.
Yeah. We do have an update on Tracy Morgan's car and his car repairs.
Speaking of tragedies.
Yeah, the Tracy Morgan, the brand new Bugatti cost a lot. It's going to cost a little bit to fix. The $2 million ride was sideswiped by a Honda CR-V just 15 minutes after he drove it off right out of the showroom. He was understandably upset, as a video was shown by a bystander of him, banging on the door, telling, I believe he said, "Bitch, get out of the car." The car needs a new front bumper. It also needs a driver's side quarter panel. But the good news is since it was clearly the other driver's fault, and there was, an NYPD person to confirm that, her insurance will pick up, I would imagine, most of the bill. But that bill comes to $32,000.
And it's a nothing burger in terms of damage done. It's got to be weird. So she's like talking. She's calling up Flo over there at Progressive, and she's like,
get that name your price tool.
What'd you hit? What'd you hit? It was something nice.
No.
Oh, like a Lexus?
Like a new Prius?
A new Prius? Like, no, this is more Bugatti. Veyron. Carter Vanderbilt was 2 years older than Anderson. Which is not, he'd be around today, I'm sure, just doing whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
Just bad genes. I mean, bad wiring.
Not bad Vanderbilts.
I know.
Those are great genes.
As much money as he wanted. I don't know. I think you have to go the Anderson Cooper route.
What do you mean?
I mean, you come from that world. He just went, Anderson Cooper's like, I'm not going to go in and sell jeans with my mom. I'm going to go get embedded with the troops in Kosovo, and just took off and just went to the hot zones at 24 and just put a helmet on and a flak jacket. Like, I think you have to extricate yourself from that world completely. Otherwise, you'll just get sucked into it, and it's always going to be mommy's money, and you're always going to be mommy junior, and no matter how big your office is or what goes on in your world, you're always going to be sort of, she got it started and kind of handed it over to you. Even no matter what decisions you made, no matter how good the decisions were, or how much you've grown the business, it's still going to be
Never
like,
gonna differentiate.
that's
You know where it
hers.
started.
That's her stuff.
Right.
Right.
Gaten Matarazzo. That name might not sound familiar. But he is one of the big stars, one of the little breakout stars of Stranger Things, the little curly-haired little boy. And he's best known as Dustin on the show. He's going to be hosting and executive producing a new show on Netflix that people are not happy about. It's a prank show that tricks people who are looking for work. And BuzzFeed News reports that this concept
How
is
old is
being
this kid?
harshly criticized. That's the thing, because he looks 8 in the show, but he's a teenager. So a press release for the show called Prank Encounters says, quote, each episode of this terrifying and hilarious prank show takes 2 complete strangers who think they're starting their first day at a new job. It's business as usual until their paths collide, and these part-time jobs turn into full-time nightmares. After Matarazzo shared the news on Twitter on Friday, his mentions were full of people criticizing the concept. Many users offended by the idea of playing pranks on people who are just trying to look for work. Here's a couple of the tweets that seem to get big headlines. This is from Paris Marks saying, hey, Gaten, this isn't the group of people to be pulling pranks on. People, reconsider this. Punch up, not down. And another one, this is from Michael Welch saying, way cool. This will be a great companion piece to my new Netflix show where I fuck with people seeking medical care. Wait till you see the looks on their desperate American faces when they find out I'm not a doctor. So I don't know how long this show's going to, if they've already ordered it, if it's already, ready to be dumped onto the streaming site.
Yeah, everything. This has got to be a no-fly zone. Like everybody,
right now, yes.
The whole getting into it with poor people, or people looking for a job, or people trying to get ahead, or whatever that is. It's just we've had a kind of. Well, let's put it this way. I don't know that we really care about the have-nots, but we certainly are interested in having people think we care about the have-nots, and it's never been stronger than today.
Right.
Like in the past, like when I was a kid, there's people that had money, and then there was everyone else, and we were everyone else, and no one bothered with everyone else.
Right.
And now we all have to feign interest in those people, although I don't think we'll ever actually be interested in those people, because we're only actually interested in people who can do stuff for us, and those people aren't them. But I did see a Partridge Family episode yesterday, which is, my tropes.
Yep.
My tropes, and there was like 5 of them in sitcoms that I forgot all about. Right. You guys are too young to remember. The computer. When the computer hit, the computer would make a mistake. There was a whole bunch of stuff in the early 70s about, we have a computer. And the computer would do either 2 things. It would tell you were dead when you weren't dead, but the computer was never wrong. And the computer would like foul up something from some department store, and if the bill was $29, it'd send you a bill for $29,000, and you could never fix it.
Right.
That was the whole thing. But there was a weird little era in the early 70s when the computer was coming on that was a little bit of it was a little glimpse into the future, which is, we talk about all this. Is your smartphone listening to you? Is this device?
Your Alexa.
Are they listening?
Yeah.
Are they collecting data? What is this technology? How does this technology affect us, and how could it be turned against us? There was a whole slew of this stuff in the early 70s because there was no computer. Everything was just written in longhand, and now there was computers. Ironically and comically, they would take up the whole room.
Yeah.
They would take up the whole room, but the computer was going to affect us in a negative way. And the thought was it was going to be very convenient, and it was going to make things faster and easier and free you up. And it turned out it would always come back and bite everyone in the ass. So anyway,
what's the one you ran across?
It was Shirley Partridge, and she went to she had a department store, and she bought a cuckoo clock, and they overcharged her.
Oh, hilarious.
And the computer just kept going. And Vic Tadeback was in this episode, too. And Cook from Alice.
Oh.
Remember that show?
I never watched Alice.
Alice.
It wasn't one of our heavy syndicated.
Alice was one of those ones where the lead sung the song and she scatted.
Oh.
And they also moved to Phoenix, which was
She's
a weird.
waitress?
Yeah, she was a waitress. It was kind of a weird place to have a sitcom in Phoenix.
Yeah.
I don't know why. And I don't know if it's as bad as One Day at a Time in Indianapolis. These are all places. When I was a kid in North Hollywood, I'd just look at these places. And if you said, "Where's Phoenix?" I'd go, "I don't know." And they go, "Where's Indianapolis?" I go, "I don't know."
India?
Yeah,
Is
I
Indianapolis
guess.
a state or a city?
I don't know. And then they said, "What's closer, Phoenix or Indianapolis?" I'd go, "I don't know. I don't know." I had no idea where anything was. All I knew is I could wrap my mind around all the Barney Millers, all the sort of New Yorky stuff,
The big
and the
city.
taxis and things like that. But everything in between, never did know.
Speaking of that, I took my dad for dinner last night for Father's Day, and we were talking about Hello, Larry. And he goes, "Oh, I remember that, and that was supposed to be in Portland." And he said, "But do you?" Because I said, Adam's been talking about it, and what do you think? Because my dad loves all that stuff. Just loves the idea of all those old Half-Life shows. Do you remember Harris Against the World with Jack Klugman? He said that was actually, in his opinion, inches out Hello, Larry as the worst sitcom ever.
Sounds familiar.
He said it was a mid-'60s.
It was kind of almost like a fashion thing that everyone who was in these great sitcoms in the 60s, in the early 70s, at some point, how the fashion went from classic kind of Frank Sinatra to Sonny Bono
Macrame.
in the mid-70s.
Yeah.
It just turned into a disaster. There was that with the sitcoms. These guys would be in these,
Like MASH?
MASH and what was I thinking about? Odd Couple.
Yep.
These iconic things, and then they'd break off on their own in the mid 70s and do some junk, just some trash. All right, you got the cuckoo clock scene.
Oh, goody.
I was thinking about vomiting. Or I just vomited.
This definitely helps.
And I thought I would soothe myself with some Partridge Family last night.
$2,900. This isn't at all like the 1984Z. I don't understand it.
Apparently, neither does the 1984Z.
We'll correct this immediately.
They would
That
have.
won't be necessary.
They'd have names for the
I've decided
computers.
to pay for the clock, and I'm going to close my
Oh,
account.
now, please, aren't you overreacting?
No, your computer is.
They don't. But the
She'll show them.
X1917 never makes a mistake. They'd have all the numbers like X1Z4. They were named after. They thought it was going to be like experimental aircraft or something. That's funny. Nobody calls a computer an X7Z47 or whatever. But
it's your MacBook.
Yeah. It's your friendly little friend.
right,
It's your Mac.
it's your little buddy now, and you bedazzle it. But back then, they had these the numbers like experimental aircraft. All right, what do we got, Gina Grant?
Well, in the age of the Me Too movement, Keanu Reeves is being hailed as a, quote, respectful king. Not only is he going strong right now with the John Wick movies, and I don't know if you watched on Netflix, but he's in that romantic comedy from Ali Wong, Always Be My Maybe.
I did not know he was in that.
Yeah, he has a great kind of walk-on part. Reeves seems to have mastered the art of posing with women without actually touching them, and apparently he's been doing this for a really long time. And of course, we have a Dolly Parton picture to show you. So here's what he always does. Whenever he poses with a woman, he puts his arm behind them, but has his hand kind of hovering.
You have the hover hand.
Hovering behind them. So he's never actually touching them, never really putting a hand around their waist or anything like that. Well, these pictures have gone viral. Somebody collected all of them and then put, Keanu Reeves doesn't take any chances. And it went viral quickly. Apparently he's been doing this forever. He thinks it's funny that he's suddenly getting all this attention because of it. But he says, even though it's wacky, the positivity is great.
He's a likable guy. I have found from the few interactions I've had with him.
Oh, God, please nothing come out about Keanu Reeves.
We hung out for a while doing the Celebrity Grand Prix race, and then
He's like, want some help out of that fire suit?
we hung out for a while in England, actually, when he was there for the Goodwood event as well. Max probably has a picture. But he does custom motorcycles.
Yeah, that's his thing, right? He's a motorcycle guy.
That's his thing. He has a company. Somebody sent me a tweet. Actually, I don't know. Matt DeAndrea sent me something about Arch Motorcycles, but Arch is his company, and he makes them with a guy named Guard. So you know that guy knows how to build a bike, and his passion is like custom motorcycles. And he was out at Goodwood a couple of years ago when I was there, going up the hill in his on his Arch motorcycles, which are sort of pieces of art, handmade kind of art. I think there's a part of the automotive and especially maybe motorcycle world that is guys building art, stuff that works, but also art. And I think it runs a little deeper in the motorcycle department even than the automotive department, because in the motorcycle world, you can see all the parts.
Right.
So it's sort
not
of
under a hood. Or,
so, right. It's not hidden behind anything. So,
like those Lucite phones from the 80s.
Yeah. So it's like the sprockets and the chains and the fasteners and the swing arms and the suspensions. Like it's all on display.
Right.
So when you see his stuff, it's like it's all on display. And so every single part needs to be perfect, because you will see every part of this vehicle as you walk around it. You do it with a car, and you give a car like a really killer paint job and cool rims. You may never pop the hood.
You can hide some things.
Right. So Arch does these, $80,000 custom bikes with their, 1 year waiting and blah, blah, blah. But that's what Keanu does.
Yeah.
Well, you want Keanu to be your partner, because it's hard to make money selling boutique motorcycles that take 13 months to build, and you sell them for $80,000 a piece. But it's nice to have a guy doing John Wick 5 coming back
it sure
with
is.
a sack of money, so that you can take your time with your artisanship. What is an Arch? Oh, they don't have prices.
Like 78,000.
78,000?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're like $80,000, and there's probably a good year worth of lead time. I don't know. I saw DeAndrea just sent me some Arch thing, but I didn't see what it was. But
I'm seeing 78,000 as a starting price.
He's got
Stock.
He brought the bikes out to England and rode them up the hill. Mm-hmm.
Did you see, it was from a couple weeks ago, his appearance on Stephen Colbert, an answer to a question that just people really loved. It was really heartwarming. Colbert was giving him a little bit of crap about, how he's just this sort of Zen god and he has all the answers, and kind of just messing with him. Colbert said, Keanu Reeves, the great Zen Keanu Reeves, what do you think happens to us when we die? And everyone kind of started laughing, preparing for whatever answer he was going to give. And Keanu Reeves said, without missing a beat, I think the people who love us will miss us.
Wow.
And the crowd just kind of took that in, and Stephen Colbert shook his hand, and it's just like he does everything right.
Yeah. He's a good guy.
He seems like it.
Very
nice.
High approval rating from everybody.
Nice.
He's going to kill somebody.
Keanu 2020.
Nice to be comfortable in your. I think what we are most. All right. Here's what I've always been thinking about. We love personal momentum.
Sure.
And we love people that are comfortable in their own skin, which is a humble version of personal momentum, where you just go, that person is so comfortable with them.
He's at ease.
When you see someone who is not comfortable with them, you have a very negative reaction. The guy who's selling too hard and laughing too hard, and the guy shakes your hand and squeezes it too hard, like that guy. Keanu Reeves is the opposite of that.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Beloved. Babe Ruth, more than 80 years after hitting his final home run, he's still setting records. A jersey worn by Ruth sometime between 1928 and 1930 was sold at auction. If you're welcome to guess, I'll hold on to that detail.
Oh, somebody shouted this out to me the other day. 5.3,
Close.
5.7?
564 million.
Wow.
Which is a new record for sports memorabilia. Now, he beat his other record. That other jersey had been expected to break 4.4. That was his other jersey. A portion of the proceeds from the auction will benefit various charities. The buyer has not been announced. I don't know if he's just very, very private, but the last record to break was 4.4. It was his, and now it's 5.64 for a jersey.
It's all going up, all memorabilia, all everything like we discussed, all stuff that nobody wanted.
Yeah, probably throw it away at one point.
Oh,
no, because it's dirty.
Yeah.
That's all I do when I go through one of those car museums is the people tell you the story about, it's funny because you know the stuff wasn't expensive because they go, oh, this Ford GT40, after it won Le Mans, a few years later, an airline pilot out of Tampa bought it and he raced it. And it's like, okay, you go like, okay, but that's not Gloria Vanderbilt. Like,
Right.
that's an airline pilot.
Right.
Like, I'm sure he did okay,
Yeah.
but that wasn't that expensive if an airline pilot bought it
Right.
and then he raced it for a number of years. That
And
means
then
it
forgot
wasn't,
about it, give it to his kid.
wasn't millions and
No.
millions and millions of dollars. And this memorabilia stuff is going through the roof, and
time.
I'm happy to hear it.
Yeah.
All right, one more.
All right. So this is the exact opposite of anything that Brian experienced over the weekend.
Let's hear it.
Kraft Heinz has introduced a new product. It's called salad frosting. It sounds like a concoction of sugary, slimy stuff to pour on your salad, and it's really just a tube of ranch relabeled in the hopes that parents can get kids to eat their vegetables by using salad frosting. This might not work on kids who are disappointed when they find out it's not actually frosting, and meanwhile, store-bought ranch isn't very good for you. According to CNN,
Oh, it's
just
like one of those little squeezable pouches.
exactly, like a frosting package, and it has confetti on the front, and it says frosting. According to CNN, just 2 tablespoons of Kraft's ranch dressing has 290 milligrams of sodium, while soybean oil and sugar are in the first 4 ingredients. Salad frosting.
I think with kids, and in general, not just from a culinary standpoint, and everybody, we need to get people comfortable with the notion of work or sacrifice or whatever. I keep thinking about our society and what I call, probably incorrectly, a sort of like reverse engineering, like where we go, if those kids are having discipline problems, then stop disciplining them and then we won't have a problem. It's sort of like, well, it's fixed, but it doesn't help the kid and it's not going to fix a big problem. Like you go, we had 123 suspensions last year and this year we had 4. It's like, okay, but what did you do? Did you correct the behavior? Or did you
Kids are
just
still the same.
Stop
we stopped suspending people? And you see like there's a law enforcement version of that. That's all LA does. LA goes, well, we used to have 72-hour parking on the street, and then we would tow the cars, and at some point we went, oh, screw it, stop towing them, or stop pulling. If you pull someone over, they don't have a license and registration. We used to tow your car, now stop. We just changed the rules, but it doesn't fix the problem.
Right.
Getting your kids going down this road of, we're going to make everything taste good, do not worry, is not a great road to go down. Kids should understand at an early age that not every meal is going to be delectable and delightful. Not everything you put in your mouth is going to be scrumdiddlyicious. Some of it is going to be fair to middling, but it's going to be good for you.
Yeah.
Just like exercise might hurt a little, but it's going to be good for you. And we try to fool, like our whole plan, whether it's the Extra Cycle or the Bowflex or the salad dressing or whatever. We're trying to kind of fool ourselves into, well, I'm doing what's right, but it tastes good. Or I'm doing what's right, but it doesn't hurt that bad or it feels pretty good or whatever it is. Have the relationship of, it does hurt to run up a dirt hill, and it does, salad with lemon juice and vinegar on it on top. It doesn't taste as good as being smothered in the creamy white stuff. Because you start going down that path, and you end up with snack wells, and then you end up fat and sort of lazy, and then also you've built up no ability to tolerate things that aren't great.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like,
Enjoyable.
there, here, have 2 hard-boiled eggs and go to school. Like, I don't want a hard-boiled egg. Yeah, I know. So what?
Yeah.
Just put it in your mouth and go. Be an army jeep. Run off anything. It's not all going to be. And then when you go to the French Laundry, it will be something.
Yeah. Special.
Save up for that occasion.
It's funny because that's exactly the language that we use. And now Andy and I joke we use it to each other, but we use it with a 3-year-old. There's 2 kinds of food. There's everyday food and there's special day food. And we don't eat special day food every day. And so, you got to put it in terms that they can, because not every day is corn pops.
The special day food turns into everyday food immediately if you do it 3 days in a row.
Agreed.
And then
I'm talking birthdays. I'm talking Saturday morning breakfast together.
You lose all the appreciation
Yep.
for it. It just is. And the next thing you know, you've raised a little shit who's ordering surf and turf
I have been a comedy
in the
club.
back of a
Comedy club.
comedy club.
I came up on that because he didn't even finish it.
Oh, I said
you
to
eat the
Max,
tail?
he left too much surf, right?
Yeah, way
Told
too
Max
much
Patty, you
What a
break
fool.
into this bad boy and you finish this lobster tail
Yeah,
off.
Adam watched me eat it.
I was like, get it, crack it, get into it.
What a slave driver forced you to finish
I
the
know.
lobster
Chris.
tail.
Adam, I grew up doing this too. I grew up eating a Filipino dish called dinuguan, which we called chocolate meat. That's what my parents would say. Oh, it's chocolate meat. Turns out it's pig's blood. That's the sauce. And it's delicious. But yeah, that's the only way we would eat it.
Right.
Oh, like a mole.
Mike had this.
You wish it was a mole.
You guys ever have this one where you order something, they forget to bring your something, and then at a certain point you scrub it because you ate your thing, and then you go, oh no, don't bring me the broccolini now. I'm good. I'm good. And then I ordered a burger. I ate it backstage at the club. I ordered a burger and I ordered the Brussels sprouts with like the bacon and the cheese and everything. And then at some point when I finished a burger, it's always the case where you finish your food and you're like, oh, good, I'm glad they didn't bring the other thing because I'm full now. So then I made the mistake of saying to Mike, they forgot the Brussels sprouts, but I'm full and I'm going out on stage. And I'm glad they didn't bring it. So screw it. And then I went out on stage. 90 minutes later, I came off the stage, and there was a pile of cold Brussels sprouts. And I said,
congealed cheese.
Yeah.
Mike can never really get the timing right. Like, he'll do, order the sloppy Joe, and it'll be waiting for you when I get off stage. And it's like, yeah, but I'm on stage for 90 minutes, so it's going to be all cold and congealed. Anyway, I then walked off stage at 11:30 at night, and there was a pile of Brussels sprouts that were cold. And now I felt weird because I didn't want to eat them because I wasn't hungry, and I was ready to head out to the lobby and
But His
sign.
Highness likes to order things and not touch them.
Well, Mike ordered them again while you were on stage, and you went, oh, you didn't have to do that. And Mike goes, I insisted.
Take no for an answer.
He's always looking out.